Hello, everybody, and welcome. I'd say good afternoon, but many of you are calling in from other parts of the globe, so good whatever it is to wherever you're calling from. My name is Nancy Coleman, and I am the Dean of the Division of Continuing Education here at Harvard and University Extension. And we are so thrilled to welcome so many of you to today's really important event. It's interesting but not surprising that our community has come together around a topic that is so very important to all of us. And we're really thrilled today to be convening this group to talk about the impact that the Division of Continuing Education and the Harvard Extension School can have on climate education. At the Division of Continuing Education, or DCE as we call it, our faculty, staff, and students, many of you, hear and understand about the urgency of climate change. We've been working on educating around this very topic here at the Extension School since 2003, but at Harvard since the 1960s, when groundbreaking research and thought leadership was done on global warming and climate change issues. And also in 1970, as many of you may know, Harvard University was an incubator for the very first Earth Day. So we are here to celebrate that proud tradition and talk about what that means moving forward. Today, in the focus of our work here at the Division of Continuing Education is really to begin a conversation about climate change and what can we continue to do within DCE and the Extension School to contribute to Harvard's ambitious, lofty, and important goals of moving the needle on this extremely important issue in our world. We want to be able to be the accelerator between thought leadership, research, and the important work that our faculty are doing across the university, and figure out how do we bring that to our students in an effort to really move change. So I'd like to thank the folks sitting here with me today. Lindy von Mutuus, who is the director of the program director of our Sustainability and Global Development practice. Thank you, Lindy. Professor Dustin Tingley, who serves as the co-chair of the Harvard University Committee on Climate Education and will be teaching the politics of climate change and environment at the Extension School this spring. Welcome, Dustin. And Dean Suzanne Spreadberry, who heads up our academic programs at the Extension School, has been a long and valued member of our team, as was one of the originators of this program. So welcome and thank you all. I also want to thank our very many attendees and also call your attention to two very special guests, my colleague, Dean Suzanne Cooper from the Harvard Kennedy School, and Dean Erin Driver-Lin from the T.H. Chan School of Public Health. Their joining us today really solidifies the interdisciplinary and inter-school approach that we are all taking to this very important initiative, and we're thrilled that you're part of our group today. So our hope for today is that this event and others roundtable events that may follow it will be events that follow to bring members of the Harvard University community together to talk about the resources that we have in place here in the Extension School and Continuing Ed, but also around the university to be able to make meaningful change and build more collaboration and hopefully make an impact on this extremely important issue. I hope after today's event that you will lean in as we have. And we know that leaning in means different things to different people. Maybe leaning in means taking a course here at the Extension School or elsewhere. Maybe leaning in means mentoring another student who could use some help or someone who may not know about these issues. Maybe leaning in means partnering with DCE on curricula and ideas that you might have to bring forth meaningful change. Or maybe leaning in means just generating support within your current organization to figure out and bring attention to some of these issues that are so near and close to our heart. Whatever that looks like for you, we really encourage you to step forward, bring yourself into it, and every little bit counts, and every little bit is extremely important to this initiative. So DCE is really thrilled to be a proud partner to the Salata Institute, whose mission, I'm sure many of you are aware, is to bring together faculty and students from different disciplines and different schools around Harvard to work on the most important and difficult climate problems of our time. I am so excited about the opportunities that DCE has to partner with the Salata Institute And really, in particular, how do we ensure and how do we amplify the message and the research and the important thought leadership that is coming out of that institute? And how do we continue to promote this within our curricula and our activities across DCE? This moment, and in particular with the recent launch of the Salata Institute, is an opportunity to really step back and reflect on how proud we are at the Extension School to be early leaders in this around Harvard, how proud we are to be continuing this work, to have such thought leadership with us around the table today, and to many of you, our students and alum, who are so very committed to making change in the world. But while we should be proud, and I think we should, it's no time to rest. There's important work to be done, and I know that you're all interested in helping us do that and being part of the solution. So thank you for being here, and I hope you see from today's event that DCE is ready to engage in this. DCE is ready to lean in. So with that, Lindy, over to you.
Thank you so much, Dean Coleman. Your leadership around this and our participation in the Committee on Climate Education has been the key to our success in that engagement. And another person who I want to introduce who's been instrumental in helping to make sure that our voice is part of the committee and our voice is part of the conversation is Professor Dustin Tingley. Professor Tingley, would you share a little bit about what happened on the Committee on Climate Education and what led to the report and some of the conversations that you and Missy Holbrook, the other co-chair of the committee, worked so hard to distill into a very succinct and powerful report?
Sure. Well, first of all, it's an honor to be here. I'm a longtime Extension School instructor, and this is a community that really means something to me. So I really appreciate not only your leadership, but also the leadership around the table. So this was a really exciting report to work on, not because of the report, but because of the people involved and the voices that came out. So when Vice Provost for Climate and Sustainability, Jim Stock, asked Missy Holbrook, who's a plant biologist, I've never co-authored with a plant biologist, but here's a chance, asked us to co-chair. The thing that we talked about was how important it was to raise up the voices of people across Harvard University, and not just raise up the voices of faculty, but also staff that are helping faculty put on classes and put on programs, and also our students, right? And so it was that, I think, trifecta of faculty, staff, and students having voice in the report that was crucial to us. And so following that, I'm a political scientist, so I think about how do we design, if that's our goal, how do we design that? And what we did then was we said, hey, let's identify the different communities that are out there, have them go out and listen and engage and craft reports that they can share with a larger group, which then we could draw on for our sort of overarching master report. Now, I have to say that I was blown away by the work that happened in those small working groups. And it's kind of sad, those working groups produced in total, probably 100-page appendix that too few people will read, but there are just so many gems. And the DCE report just knocked it out of the park, Lindy, I gotta say. And it was great, because I also think it helped kind of raise the bar as well. The School of Public Health that Aaron Driver-Lynn led, and the Kennedy School, which Suzanne Cooper led, who are joining us today, it was just inspiring for me to hear those things coming out of those communities and just different ideas, different approaches to it, and the way that they work with their communities to bring those voices out. So what were some of the things that came out of of this all as we tried to synthesize things and make it a little bit more succinct than 100 pages? So there are a couple of themes that came out. One was really trying to think about how can we meet learners where they are. Right? It can be very tempting in education just to say, I'm the educator, I'm going to say some things, and I hope the learners will listen and learn something, right? But we have to be intentional about meeting them where they are. And that comes in a huge variety of forms. So for example, I teach an online version of my Extension School class. And what is thrilling is that I can meet learners throughout the world. right? And on topics like climate change and sustainability, that is just so key. But we also have to think about what's in their interest. So our learners want more in the way of clearly defined tracks that they can be a part of, or clearly defined programs that they can kind of wrap up, put a bow around it, and signal to the rest of the world that they're extremely well trained, having come out of these things. Another theme that came out was, how do we connect learners to the world? Okay, and I'll tell a brief story, which is from my own course, which was, it turned out I was teaching about something related to climate finance. Some of you might have heard this in the news. You know, we've made a lot of commitments from developed countries to give money over to developing countries as part of the climate challenge. And it turns out I had a student in the class that's what she works on. She's located in Singapore. That's what she works on. And I find this out. And what did I do? That summer, I was hosting an undergraduate program for Harvard College students, and I had her in as a guest speaker. And geez, the students loved her, right? And not so much because they didn't have to listen to me, but because of the sort of stories and the context that she could put around these more abstract ideas and how they're playing out in practice. And she's going to be a guest visitor for my class moving forward. But that's just that's magical. You know, when do you experience things like that? So how do we connect people to the world? It also comes in the form of things that happen outside of class, right? So a lot of the work that Jim Stock's office has been doing recently is, how do we work with organizations like Career Services to really think intentionally about how do we serve up opportunities to our students who work in this space. I kid some people, although I'm actually kind of serious. When we do recruiting fairs for Harvard College students, I would love it if we mandate that every organization has to list what are the opportunities within their organization around climate and sustainability. Now, that's not going to happen, but it's the type of idea that if we don't signal to the rest of the world that our students are eager and hungry and ready to lean in, as you just put it, then we're not going to be able to move the ball as much as we want. And I think that we have the collective thunder to do that. So that's another way in which I think we can really be connecting learners to the world. The final theme, and you know, we oftentimes say this, but I think especially in something like climate and sustainability, how do we think of Harvard as a whole? Right? And like really, really do that. Because something like climate and sustainability, we've got the science, we've got management, we've got public health, we've got policy, we've got politics, we've got economics, we've got history, we've got literature, so on and so forth. And in some senses, to see the breadth of that sort of dramatic across the board need is evidenced in the curriculum that, Lindy, you've put together here at the DCE. Right? This is the most robust offering of curriculum at the university right now. And that's a testament to all the great things that's happening here. So finally, I just thought I would conclude with a couple of thoughts about, you know, what is all this meant to me, and what does this mean to me vis-a-vis my experience getting to work with DCE? So what has meant to me is that, first of all, that I've had the opportunity to work with tremendous colleagues across the university who are brilliant and kind to try to move the needle forward on something where I think back, like, if you want to scale the impact of Harvard University on climate and sustainability, it is not through me as a researcher. It is through our students, right? Yes, I'm going to be doing work on climate stuff, right? But it is through our students. I can reach 80, 100 students. They can reach thousands, so on and so forth. Right? And the Extension School is one way to do that for me. And then finally, what do I enjoy about the DCE? It is just an opportunity to meet some of the most passionate and creative and unique students in the world. And that's exciting. That's not something that I always get to do. I get to teach amazing students within Harvard College and the GSES, but having that broad reach, having people that are coming in from different walks of life, that's an opportunity I can't miss. Back to you, Lindy.
Well, thank you so much, Professor Tingley. I think, thank you for the compliment. I will say, as you three all know, when when you all approached me to write that memo, I had been working here for maybe 5 weeks. So I say that because it was a team effort. And I was so fortunate to be able to lean on our wonderful team of almost 76, I believe, instructors, my colleagues who work as research advisors, and the associate director of the program, Mark Layton. I was also really able to lean on our students. And Dean Spreadbury may have sent me a late night magical spreadsheet that saved me a lot of heartache. So it was a true team effort. And I see my role as director to be standing on the shoulders of the people who built this program. I was the program's very first graduate in 2005, back when it was called environmental management. And the reason why I wanted to come back and work here was because this degree was such a meaningful and one that had such impact in the rest of my career. Yes, I went to law school and I became a trial lawyer and I was a lobbyist, but this degree gave me the foundation in environmental science that really helped me succeed in other parts of my career. And I hear many of our students say those same words to me. And so my goal is to take that wonderful program that George Buckley and Jack Spengler and Mark Layton and all the instructors who helped really create this program, and my predecessor, Tom Gloria, to take all of their work and just bring it that much further down the road. And it's a team effort. I work with students. I call them, students and colleagues because they give us great advice on the cutting edge aspects of our curriculum because they're working in these fields, and so are our instructors. So it's wonderful to have such a great team to work with. And I had some thoughts about what I might say today. And then I realized that you all who are here should actually hear from the future of climate education yourselves. And so I asked a couple of folks who are students in the program to help me put together a little video to explain what we see as the future of climate education. When I started teaching at the Extension School, I was deeply impressed with the diversity, brilliance, and lived experience of our students. Specifically in a class on environmental justice, which is not an easy subject, they brought so much hope to the challenges we discussed. To embody the words of a former colleague, hope in the face of climate change is optimism with its sleeves rolled up. Our students are ready to tackle climate change, and I see the role of our climate curriculum as giving them the tools to do the work they want to do to tackle this challenge. It's easy to be pessimistic about climate change, to feel like it's a doom and gloom situation. The destruction of biodiversity and natural systems and the disruption to social systems that climate change is already causing are bleak and cost us millions of lives and dollars. But we have solutions.
I joined the Global Development Practice Program to help find sustainable solutions for the clean water and sanitation crisis across the globe, and found that the wealth of classes offered at Harvard Extension School opened the door to exploring even more. So now, in addition to a GDP master's, I'm also pursuing certificates in social justice and sustainable cities and communities. Climate change will more than likely exacerbate the water crisis and lead to even more severe droughts and intense water events.
Because of my work and my background in anthropology, the biggest climate challenge that I am passionate about tackling is the impact that the climate crisis has and will continue to have on humans, whether this be through forced climate migration, resulting in an increase of humanitarian issues, food shortage, water scarcity, loss and damage, and ultimately guaranteeing the inclusion and participation of everyone in the just transition, especially when we talk about Indigenous people that protect 80% of the world's biodiversity. We've already had 59.1 million people internally displaced from events like Hurricane Ian in Florida, the heat waves and droughts in Europe that we experienced over summer, and the monsoon and flooding in Pakistan. And this impact on human livelihood and dignity is only going to get worse if we don't act quickly and aggressively.
I think one of the toughest parts about climate change are going to be reconciling the trade-offs with our values. I also believe that we make better decisions when we do so in a data-rich environment. And that's the part of climate change that I'm most passionate about and most excited about, because Harvard Extension School Sustainability Program is giving me the tools, the systems, and framework to think about those decisions and those questions a lot more critically.
With regards to climate change, I truly believe that the financial markets can play a significant role in mobilizing the much needed capital to fund the transition to net zero. It's been really eye-opening for me to witness an industry that I've been working in for the last 12 years shift from what has been a traditional profit perspective to one that now considers the environment as a core part of its business strategy. It's really great to see investor and market demand make such a difference. With regards to the ALM sustainability degree specifically, it's been so important in highlighting to me that all parts of society need to work together to combat climate change. The financial markets, governments, individuals, non-profits, academics, scientists. The sustainability ALM has not only enabled me to have a deeper understanding of the field that I'm working in, but also has highlighted how the financial markets is just one piece of the puzzle in combating climate change.
We talk about a lot of exciting and heavy topics, and one that I'm super passionate about is the plastic pollution and waste crisis that's happening right now. It's no secret that years of overuse and an insatiable demand for single-use plastics has caused a global environmental catastrophe. And about 10 years ago, I started my own journey to lead a plastic-free lifestyle. And I started with the 3 R's: reduce, reuse, recycle. And I found myself stumbling into a world of bamboo toothbrushes, stainless steel straws, travel utensils, and the list goes on. But I felt like I needed and wanted to affect change on a greater scale. And after an exhaustive search, that's when I found the Harvard Extension School. And now I'm in the sustainability program. My passion grows every day that I'm in this community, and I'm excited about the change that we can make.
My interest and attention is focused on sustainable food systems and the incorporation of nature-based solutions for carbon sequestration as part of a virtuous cycle, or in other words, moving towards net zero or carbon negative food systems. Aspects of this could range from food waste management to climate resilience in regenerative agricultural systems.
One of the things I love most about how our existing work at the Extension School amplifies the priorities in the report on the future of climate education is the emphasis on implementing solutions learned in the classroom. Our 84 courses on climate change give students new ways to think about immediately applying the skills they gain in their professional lives.
And really, this has just been the most incredible journey for me. Layering sustainability into a whole host of other things that I do in my business day to day, and also into our farm, which began as a side project and a passion project for sustainability and agroforestry, etc., and really has become front and center and much more full-time for me day to day.
I currently head the IT department for a large global insurer, AXA, in Indonesia. Having had the privilege of receiving good education and holding stable jobs at large corporations throughout my career, I have always been aware that the rest of the world around me is not as fortunate. Large populations here in Jakarta and back home in India lack secure access to food, energy, healthcare, and even livelihood opportunities. While we have large gaps to fulfill in terms of economic development, such development also has a significant ecological footprint that has always bothered me. The program here at Harvard equips me with the vocabulary to make sense of such trade-offs. It has helped me understand what is environmental justice, how we humans are stretching the earth beyond its carrying capacity, and how we humans are also ant-like apes or superorganisms with the generosity to appreciate and care about intergenerational equity.
So after years of work, I found my passion in studying energies. We can observe the deteriorating climate change in these years, and I believe renewable energies will be one key element for sustainable development. The ALM journey broadens my horizon by thinking of sustainability as a system.
My coursework and experiences in the ALM degree program at Harvard Extension have given me the tools I need to become a more effective agent of change and to find ways to amplify my voice as an advocate. My studies have provided me with an opportunity to explore issues that are directly related to my work with flowers, whether it's addressing social justice issues here in North America or environmental justice issues in the global South, where most of our flowers come from, or looking at the environmental implications of the current floral industry in terms of single-use plastics, rampant pesticide and herbicide use, and poor water management. My program of study at Harvard Extension has fundamentally affected the way I work and has given me the confidence and academic footing I need in order to effect meaningful change in an industry where environmental and social integrity have been sorely lacking.
I'm currently a correspondent with CBS New York, and each day my classes align with the issues I'm tackling at work, whether it's a water health and sustainable development class, watershed management, or community-based research. There's so much that I apply to stories in the field. Then there's crisis management and emergency preparedness and practices for climate change resilience. These will also align me for future projects. Of course, one of the major highlights is our worldwide network of people who are just as passionate about the work that needs to be done. From professors to guest lecturers and students, everyone wants you to win. And that pushes me to work even harder.
Everyone has something to contribute, especially at a university as prominent and wide-reaching as Harvard. And that work starts from within. It starts with us reaching across our schools, setting aside our egos, rolling up our sleeves, and finding ways to leverage the whole of Harvard. The colleagues that I've had a chance to interact with on the Committee on Climate Education have opened my eyes to the resources that I didn't even know Harvard offered. Bringing us together and having us think about creating a bigger tent to solve climate change within this university has been transformational. I'm grateful to President Bacow and Provost Stock's leadership and their mission to include so many different voices in the report and in the creation of the Salata Institute.
Moving forward and through my coursework at Harvard, I am interested in what happens at the very tip of the decision-making process. I'm looking for opportunities and learning ways to be part of the change by connecting with policymakers, industry leaders, producers, and academia, as well as advocates in two areas. One is increasing investments in alternative proteins, and also pushing for legislation for public subsidies.
I work for a global coffee company, and they trade in one of the world's largest commodities. And so understanding how I can shape the lives of our farmers and create equity in their work in the global South, as well as how it is that we grow our agricultural product, has an immense pull for me. And I don't deny that through my discovery in this program that choices for me may change.
I came to the Harvard Extension School with a couple of decades of experience in real estate development, and I was looking for personal enrichment and for a way to more positively impact the communities we work in through the projects that we work on. When I first found the program, I studied the courses and found that I felt that there was enough content that I'd be able to achieve that. So I jumped in with both feet. What I wasn't expecting was what happened in the first class, and I was able to apply the classroom knowledge directly into our projects and have a very positive outcome from the very first class. But that wasn't specific to that class. That's happened in every class since then. So I'm applying immediately something from each and every class into the projects we do to get better outcomes on climate change challenges and for the communities that we're developing in. in my case, what I'm now participating in is the Innovation Lab, where there's this ecosystem from all of the different 13 schools that Harvard has, and students coming together with their various ventures and projects and developing them in a way where all the walls are broken down, there are no silos, and we come together and come up with really innovative solutions and approaches. So things like that that are available to us at HES that I don't think any other program like this really offers makes this a very unique and very rewarding program, I believe.
You know, I could count off the top of my head 9, 10, 11 different projects that have been started within the HES program to address climate change, both financial products and entrepreneurial technological ventures, as well as a bunch of policy projects that have started, and they've been fantastic, right? And I know for sure that these will be instrumental in moving the needle in terms of averting the climate disaster. Because HES is available worldwide, the table that I sit at with all of my classmates is worldwide, right? It stretches from Cambridge to Tokyo. It stretches from Dubai to San Francisco.
Last year, over 2,800 students took courses on climate change at the Extension School. That's a huge tent. I can't wait to work on new and innovative ways to make that tent even bigger and to expand climate literacy beyond our classrooms. I don't care what your background is. I want our courses to teach you how to make a difference in mitigating and adapting to climate change. Nothing can stop us from changing the world. Having DCE leverage the whole of Harvard and reach wider audiences is the key.
I wish the success of the event and have a good day. Bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you to the students who helped put that together. It was, yeah, truly. And I think it really does a better job than me talking for 10 minutes about our program to showcase just how wonderful all the different aspects of these 2 degree programs and all the other courses at the Extension School in other ALM programs are on this subject. So I'd like to turn it now to open up Q&A. And we want you all to share your thoughts and ideas. And for those of you who are attendees, you can type your question or a comment into the Q&A box. You can also vote on other people's questions and upvote them. And we'll try to tackle as many questions as we can. If you are a panelist, you can raise your hand and we will call on you if you want to make a comment or ask a question. But first, I'd like to turn to Dean Spreadbury, who is sort of the advisor and leader of all things innovation and a thought partner to me always when I bounce into her office once a week and say, I want to do this thing on climate change. So I wanted to ask Dean Spreadbury to perhaps just kick us off and share a couple of thoughts about which of the priorities in the report you're most excited about.
Well, that video is really hard to follow. I mean, I was tearing up. I mean, everyone knows back at 51 Brattle how I get emotional about students and their stories. But, I reread the report last night and, it is so powerful. And, kudos to you, Dustin, and that team. And the same 3 things excited me last night as they did when I first read it. And, the very first thing is the school-wide One Harvard approach to this critical topic. It warms my heart. And we have so much to learn from our colleagues across all the schools here at Harvard, but we also have so much to contribute. As you know, we have been awarding a Master's of Liberal Arts in the field of environmental management or sustainability for 17 years. We have awarded 2,000 degrees in that area. And you, Lindy, were the first, and it's just like such a joy to have you back inspiring our students. We've also awarded 1,300 graduate certificates. These are 4 or 5 course certificates in over 5 different fields of sustainability. As you said, we educate every year. We educate at least 3,000 students through our open enrollment courses and over 50, 60 plus environmental topics that are taught by Harvard faculty as well as industry professionals. Harvard Extension School's reach is something that the entire university should be proud of, right? Through open enrollment, every U.S. state is represented in over 128 countries. Our students are taking classes with us this year. Our mid-career professionals, as you just heard, take what they learn on Monday class and apply it to their Tuesday job. The impact that our students have can be immediate. And perhaps there's no better example of that than in the wonderful consulting capstones. I see Will right here, who has been shepherding those wonderful capstones, right? So these are where our graduate students work with industry professionals on one-on-one projects, and they create these sustainable action plans. And the industries are just wide-ranging, right? We have the food industry, the fashion industry, healthcare, local politics, and to date, our students have created 500 sustainable action plans that we hope are being implemented around the world. So again, we have a lot to learn from all the schools and all the faculty at Harvard, but we have a lot to say and contribute as well. So I'm very excited about that. And just two more quick things. I'm very excited about the multidisciplinary approach to this topic because we know that change is not going to come from science alone. We need to change people's hearts as well as their minds. And all the liberal arts fields and professional fields are going to need to be engaged. And cross-disciplinary education is in our DNA at Harvard Extension School. Our degrees are a Master's of Liberal Arts or a Bachelor of Liberal Arts. That is about thinking broadly among multiple disciplines. We have courses that talk about environmental issues in English, in history and art and architecture, in museum studies, in journalism, in public health, in government and history and finance and economics. Our management students can concentrate in corporate sustainability. And even our data science students, last year, a team worked together with NASA on a climate change model reimagined. Our program is at its heart interdisciplinary, and that's how I think. So I just love that. And finally, oh my goodness, the focus on student groups and co-curricular activities and alumni. Students teaching other students, alumni, former students teaching current students. Every curriculum should have this as part of the story. Our students, as you just heard, are amazing, and that wonderful video just highlighted so well. They're highly engaged, they're passionate, they're professional. Last year, our newly admitted class had engineers, professors, lawyers, CEOs, consultants, landscape designers, so much more. Our environmental club is the longest running student club at the Harvard Extension School. These students are so passionate about their topic and so committed to community. They warm my heart every time. And our alumni, they've gone on to amazing careers in sustainability, and they want to give back in meaningful ways. Sometimes it's just about us getting out of the way and letting the students do all the leading, because you guys are amazing. So, those are the three things that I'm so excited about. And then, of course, there was a lot more, but.
Thank you so much, Dean Spreadbury. I will say it tears me up when I hear you talk about our students, because I share that love and that admiration for their passion. I also want to turn it to two members of the Committee on Climate Education who are joining us today, Dean Cooper and Dean Driver-Lynn. And in no particular order, I also wanted to point out Courtney Ackerman is here, who was the project manager for the report and the committee, and is a proud ALM alumna as well. So we have a lot of love from the committee here in this call. So Dean Driver-Lynn, I wondered if you could just share a few thoughts on what you're so excited about in terms of DCE and the report and some of the collaboration.
Thank you so much. Thank you all for including me. I have learned so much just from this past few minutes. And I guess I want to say on a process level, I think that Vice Provost Stock starting the work that he's doing with climate education was a really important kind of long-term approach to things. By, like Dustin said, it's our students that matter, it's the learners that matter. And what I have heard and saw in that video is exactly what you said, Suzanne. The other Harvard schools have so much to learn from DCE. You are way ahead. What we heard when we asked our School of Public Health community about what they thought was important with climate education, we heard loud and clear that our learners have a much stronger demand and hunger for climate education than we are offering. You are way ahead. You are offering so much more and have, as I have just heard, and you're so clearly connecting the dots between the curriculum and your learners who are out in the world immediately putting those things into action. Another thing that I loved was, I think, Dustin, you had a strong hand in synthesizing across all of the different points of view from the school and in framing. And I loved how this report ended with this, let's resist the risk of addressing the complexity of climate change by incorporating it in shallow ways, leading to students who end up engaging in superficial advocacy rather than the essential but harder intellectual and creative work of developing solutions. And so what I've heard today is that the way that you're approaching this at DCE is not shallow. It really is wrestling with those deeper, more sophisticated and work that requires creative engagement from the huge diversity of your student body. So thank you for letting me just learn from you all and for being part of this this great occasion.
Well, I'm very grateful for your leadership at the School of Public Health and also for you making the time to be here with us live today. That just means a lot. Also, Dean Cooper, I would love to hear a little bit from you. You were such a wonderful collaborative colleague on the Climate Committee, and just hear a little bit about what inspires and excites you about the report and the Institute and the work ahead.
Thank you so much for including me in this event. And this would not be the first time that I've been in a meeting with or on a panel with my colleague, Erin Driver-Lynn, and called upon to speak after her and wanted to say what she said. So I just want to amplify all of those points and so many other points that were brought up in the really terrific video. It really was a pleasure to serve on this committee. It's rare at Harvard that you get the opportunity to be in such a thought-provoking environment with your counterparts from around the university to take on a problem and to learn from each other. And it was Dustin and Missy really created a great environment for us to not ever feel like we were in competition with each other. We were really to learn from each other and take the best of what every school could offer. And I just want to say, just to echo what Erin said, I learned a lot just already being here for 40 plus minutes, sort of watching the video and hearing from all of you. And it's been a terrific opportunity. And one of the things that I've learned is that DCE is already doing so many of the things that the Climate Education Report recommends, and is really ahead of the game, and we have a lot to learn. So one of the challenges at Harvard is to get faculty outside of their own little project and to talk with each other and to engage across disciplines and to really create something that isn't their own little thing in their own little office in their own little lab. And just looking at the list of courses, the people from such broad areas, you draw on every part of the university to create the curriculum that you have, and that is rare. It might, and dare I say, unique at Harvard. You might be the only school that can bring people or has already brought people together in that way. And it's critical for the future of climate education that we bridge those disciplines and bring the faculty together. At the same time, you have such an incredibly diverse group of students, from scientists to activists to nonprofit leaders to business leaders to everybody doing every kind of job or role. Some people, it's a passion but not a profession to pursue education in climate and sustainability, and for other people it's critical to their profession. Just such an incredibly diverse group. And it brings up another critical point from the report that Dustin referred to earlier, meeting students where they are. That's a real challenge when your students are literally all over the globe and in all these different sorts of roles. And what they need is to find their pathway to complement what they have and what they know and what they do with some pieces that they could strengthen, some knowledge and experiences that they could gain. And you really do provide those pathways. And one of the challenges, I think, for the successor for the Climate Education Committee is really to figure out what some of those pathways are and how to offer them to a broader group of people inside and in the global version of the university. So kudos to you for that. And then the final thing is, and we hear this and we work on this a lot at the Kennedy School because we're a school of public policy, because we're a professional school. It's really important to make the distance between the classroom learning and the application of that classroom learning as small as possible. And the most obvious way to do that is to have the learning happen in field-based experiences. And that's obviously hard to scale. But one of the things that DCE does so exceptionally well is really make that distance small. And you heard it in the video. I can't say it better than the students said it themselves, that they learn something in the morning and in the afternoon they're already using it. And so it's another example of meeting the students where they are, which is again one of the critical points. So I just want to say that of all the many things that the report did, I'm grateful for the opportunity to contribute in any small way to that and to learn from my colleagues, but also to congratulate DCE on already having some just really terrific examples of what the report recommends that more of us be doing.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. Dean Coleman, Dean Spreadbury, Professor Tingley, do you have anything else to add? Or I would love to turn it over to some folks for Q&A.
I think we should turn to questions.
Yeah. Okay, great. So Professor Sanchez, I see you've got your hand up. So I'm going to toss the mic over to you, and then we'll take a question from the Q&A chat.
Thank you for the opportunity. On behalf of researchers, at Harvard University, I can tell you that we are trying to make sure that anything that we do as scientists goes to the field as soon as possible. That's our goal. And I teach in the Harvard Extension School. Somebody asked me, why do you teach there? Because you have immediate impacts. Something that we were researching last week, it will be in the hands of someone who can implement it today. That's essentially what happens. I work at the Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health. And something that I see as well is that my students in the School of Public Health, sometimes they want to have the same courses that I teach in the Extension School, but they can't. They are not members of the staff, so they can't, enroll in the Extension School. And so usually sometimes they ask me, when can we get these courses here? That's number one, but they don't. So then what we do is, could you help me out in developing materials for my class? And that way I can enroll them in a limited way, as assistants, let's say. But then they take the class and they tell somebody else. And then I have a problem because our courses are full, but I can only get like one or two, additional students every semester. So when are we going to open this to everyone, to democratize access to sustainability education for everyone at Harvard? That's one of the questions. And the second thing would be, is it possible to create a special program where practitioners interact with our students immediately, because they create the best groups and they have the highest impacts both in academia and in the practice so we are maximizing results. So those are my questions. Thank you. And congratulations for the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Sanchez. Well, I think you asked a series of complex questions, to which I'm going to give you an attorney's answer, which is, it's complicated, and we'll get back to you. No, in all seriousness, I think, Professor Tingley, these are definitely things that have been discussed with the committee, and I want to say that they're not off the table, but I think they require multiple people to work together, and that takes time. In a 400-year-old institution.
Yeah, I think that's right. But I think there's a lot of great themes, in those questions for us to think about. It's also something where, my boss, Vice Provost for Advances in Learning, Prathanan, and Dean Coleman talk about, ways that, we also put on some classes that have a little bit more of that kind of open flavor, but they're very different, right? They're not credit bearing, for example.
Yeah.
We're not doing the types of rigorous evaluations of grading student essays and whatnot, and typically in those contexts. And so I think a lot of those synergies have already been in place, and this could be a great area to talk more about that.
Yeah, thank you. I want to hop over to the Q&A, where I see two questions that are pretty similar. And they're asking about how students can engage with certificates in multiple different programs, and whether there is any goal of increasing the collaboration and the content sort of crossover between programs. And I feel comfortable saying yes. So not a lawyerly answer. I work really closely with the other program directors at the Extension School to think about opportunities where our disciplines can align and where we can create courses, for example, like Professor Tingley's course, which is in the government program, but which our students can take and earn credit in a certificate in the sustainability program for. So we try really hard to shape the curriculum around that interdisciplinary approach. There's also a question in the chat about a link for the report, and would be happy to pop that in there. And then there's also a question about how we're planning to engage alumni more. And so if you look in the DCE part of the report, we have a couple of ideas brewing in there. If you are joining us today and you're an alum who wants to be more engaged with the program, please reach out. We certainly would like to create a couple of opportunities for our students. One of them that the student club, the HESIC Environmental Student Club, has actually been working on is a mentorship program that is sort of an informal way for alumni practitioners to talk with current student practitioners. Another way that we really engage alumni is we actually go ask them if they want to be guest lecturers and guest speakers in some of our coffee chats that we host every month, or our other speaker events. I know that many of our instructors bring alumni into their classroom, and a lot of our instructors are alumni. So if you're an alum who's interested, please don't be shy. Reach out and let me know that you want to get engaged, and we will try to find a great way to engage you, because we do see that as a key point to leverage our community to do more, to do work with more impact.
I just want to pick up on this point about alumni. First, to say how thankful I am to the various alumni that I've gotten to work with over the years. It's truly a testament to the sort of character of the types of people I get to teach, that they would graduate and then want to say, hey, how can I help? Right? I mean, that's very special. I also have to say, I made a joke about this before, but it's true how much our students value that interaction, right? It's like I'm going to provide you some frameworks, but then I've got to get out of the way, right? And students just love that. And so if you're thinking as an alum, hey, would I really have much impact? Is this worth my time? The answer is yes. And yes. And that's not to say I'm sort of just using you as an instructor. It's to say, no, this is what we need. This is what students value, and it provides that connection to the real world that Suzanne Cooper was talking about, and what you've talked a lot about, Lindy. So the more y'all push that needle forward, the rest of the university is just going to benefit immensely from your thinking there.
100% agree. And I wanted to add, just really an underscore point about the interdisciplinary nature of the curricula. I think, we're here to talk about global development and climate change and sustainability today, but the Extension School has so many other areas of specialty as well. And we're every day, one of the values that we have in our school is agility and innovation. So we're constantly looking at, and I know Dean Spreadberry holds this dear to her heart because she's driving it, how can we marry two different things? I heard a lot today about sustainable finance. What about sustainable IT? What about sustainability in other areas? How can we marry that with our management programs and other programs as well? We are really looking for different ideas that our students have, our alums have, the general populace have, about ways that we can build courses, build curricula that really meet those needs, because as you all know better than I do, this is an emerging area and the needs for it are just really growing. I also just want to make one quick point about access to courses, because I know we have students and alums on the call today, but we also have some guests who may not be that familiar with us. One of the nice things about the Harvard Extension School is we have an open access policy, which means a lot of our courses are available for the general public to take. So not only do we have degree and certificate students, but we also have students who are just interested in something and just want to take a class in it. So if that's you, we encourage you to take a look at it, but we really do, underscoring what Professor Tingley said. We want to work with alums, we want to work with students, we want to be agile and as innovative as we possibly can be. So keep those incredible ideas and energy coming our way.
Yes, I can underscore that. I love hearing all the ideas and the energy. There's one other question that I think I would love to address from Paulette Austin, and it is whether we do work with corporations and whether we reach out in our curriculum to get energy corporations and other corporations that are trying to do corporate sustainability to move the needle and to buy into our academic efforts. And the answer is yes. Several of our instructors come from major multinational corporations. They are the chief sustainability officer of Blue Apron, for example. They are a patent holder in multiple automotive engineering patents for increasing productivity and reducing emissions. They are the director of the Department of Transportation, and so they are doing that work. And we have several of our courses where we do have corporate leaders come in as guest speakers. And I will be very transparent and say that many of our students who are coming to us from corporations are coming to us from the fossil fuel sector. And we do our very best in our courses to create an atmosphere where those students are absolutely valued and welcomed to bring their experiences and to bring their passion for making change from within their organizations into the curriculum and to be guest lecturers. I have that happen just like you, Professor Tingley. I've had students who work at fossil fuel corporations say, hey, can I do a 5-minute presentation on what we're trying to do? Or a student from Hewlett-Packard say, can I do a 5-minute presentation on what we're doing to reduce e-waste? So we absolutely want people from corporations to come in and share that wisdom and expertise in our program. And I think one of the beautiful things about our courses is that we create that atmosphere where that is welcome. All right, I think that about takes us to the end of our time. I don't see any new questions. Anybody have a hand that they want to raise and chime in with another question or a comment?
I would say that one of the things that I would love to engage alumni more with is inspiring our prospective students about the amazing benefits of this degree. I think prospective students really want to hear from you. They really want to know that their time and money and their investment in this amazing education at Harvard is going to lead to something great. And you've all have done that. You've all have led it to something great. So I think that, through our Career and Academic Resource Center and our wonderful staff there, we want to bring more of you to share your stories, because they can be so inspirational to those students who are making that decision early on about our program. And I can't think of a better way to encourage them than your amazing, accomplishments. So I'm just going to add that.
No, I love that. And I think that's a perfect way for us to close this session, because in fact, several of the alumni of this program helped to contribute to the report and helped to be a voice. And I know from reading the report and some of our conversations that Harvard's alumni network was also a very key piece of bringing the urgency of what we need to do on climate change to the front and to make this an academic priority across the university. So as an alumna, I want to echo what Dean Spreadbury asked you all to do, which is reach out and lean in and be part of this, because I think we are such an incredible group when we bring ourselves together. So I want to just thank again Dean Coleman for your leadership. We really couldn't do something like this today without it. And Dean Spreadbury for yours as well, and certainly for the mentoring and guidance that you've given me. I'm not even 1 year into the role, and just all the attention and care that you show our students and this program. They see it and they thank me for it all the time. So thank you for your leadership on that. And Professor Tingley, thank you for being an extension instructor. I know our students love your course, and thank you so much for all of the care and attention you put into putting this report together and being with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
It's a little love fest up here.
I know.
That's right.
And thank you all. Thank you all for coming. This was wonderful to have so many of you here, and we look forward to having more of these kinds of conversations.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.